Hi everyone, my name is Pam Duffy. I'm here on behalf of the ASHRAE Communications Committee, and my job today is help answer all of your normal questions that you might have about Basecamp. In this video today, I am going to do a short presentation followed by a walkthrough of Basecamp. In total, it'll be about 10 minutes. Today I plan to cover the topics listed on this screen. Basically, the million-dollar question, what is Basecamp and why are we using Basecamp in ASHRAE? And then I'll take you on a short walkthrough of an actual Basecamp project. I'll share some best practices and answer the most common questions I get about Basecamp. Basecamp is a web-based software. It's accessible from any web-based platform like your desktop computer, your iPhone, your Android, any tablet you have, anything that has internet, you can access Basecamp. It's essentially a project management tool that can help you organize your chapter's volunteer operations. So as you can see from my example here on the left, they have a to-do list, they have documents, they have a schedule, etc. All of this is to help organize the chapter's volunteers. The intent is to use Basecamp with your chapter leaders. Basecamp isn't a great tool to communicate with your chapter members or to try to organize meetings, but it is a great tool to organize the work that is done by volunteers in the chapter. So you might be wondering, why Basecamp? Where did it come from? Many years ago, the Communications Committee was tasked with looking at tools for secure document storage. Some of the tools that are out there, like Google Drive, Dropbox, Box.com, etc., they're just not as secure as we would hope them to be, especially with some of our more sensitive work, like standards committees work and technical committee work, etc. And after vetting a lot of different programs, we decided on Basecamp. And for the last several years, many different society committees have been using Basecamp to manage their projects, including the Communications Committee that I sit on and many other committees throughout the society, very successfully. So now we're opening up this opportunity to chapters as well for you to take advantage of this tool. In addition to secure document storage, you'll also see less emails. You'll be able to be more organized as a chapter, and you'll start to curate a historical repository of documents for your chapter. Most importantly, Basecamp has been adopted society-wide. So, for example, your chapter may have a Basecamp, but also your region might have a Basecamp, as well as other standing committees you're on, or technical committees, or other committees. So it's very helpful for organizing all of your ASHRAE work. And pretty much anybody that's a leader in ASHRAE should be familiar with Basecamp. And so that's very good to start at the chapter level. So who gets access to your chapter's Basecamp? Well, because we're talking about Basecamp being a project management tool for your chapter, really it should just be your chapter officers, your committee chairs, and then your board of governors. You might consider assigning somebody to sort of be the administrator for Basecamp. It should mostly run itself, but maybe to just help people get set up and up to speed on the tool, think about assigning either the communications chair or webmaster or secretary to help spearhead these efforts. One thing I want to mention is that the username that will be assigned to your Basecamp account will be the same as your ASHRAE.org email address or whatever it is on your chapter information questionnaire or CIQ. If that's not the email address that you want to receive your Basecamp notifications to, then you'll need to change the name, the email address that's on that existing account. So just like any other account you have on the internet, like your bank account or a social media login, if you want to change the email address associated with it, you first need to log in to the old email address and then change the whatever the setting is to the new email address. It's not as simple as somebody just asking somebody if they can change your email. Another thing is to not create a new account. because if you create a new account with a new email address, now you'll have 2 accounts or 3 accounts, and it's not always clear to people which account is the one that is your preference. So it is best if you just have one account in Basecamp, and if you have any problems with that, contact Basecamp.com, their technical support, and they can help you. So now let's take a look. If you want to follow along with me as I navigate through Basecamp, go ahead right now and navigate to www.basecamp.com. Here we are at basecamp.com. Go into the upper right-hand corner and click Sign In. So for me, it automatically signed me into my Basecamp account, and you can see I have the choice of many different Basecamps. The one that you want to go with to access anything ASHRAE related is simply ASHRAE with this Basecamp 3 or BC3 symbol right here. Okay, now we're in the Basecamp for ASHRAE, and you can see that I have multiple projects. For example, I have a Basecamp for Region 8. I have a Basecamp for this chapter, a couple of chapters in my Basecamp here. I also have a TC that I'm a part of. I have the communications committee that I'm sitting on. So I have multiple different Basecamp projects from all of my different involvement through ASHRAE. If you are just a volunteer with your local chapter and that's your only volunteer effort, you'll only have one little tile here as your Basecamp project. So just to use an example and to show you a good one, as a good chapters project as an example, I'm going to navigate into the Monterey chapter's Basecamp. So here you can see the Monterey chapter. I'll click there. And now I'm in the Monterey chapter's Basecamp. And you can see if I scroll down all the different activity that has taken place. So I can see that somebody has gone through and uploaded photos from what looks like a really awesome chapter event that they had recently. And they shared those with everybody in their leadership team. But up top here are the main tiles that we can see. The ones that are going to be most important to your chapter are going to be the document files and probably the schedule and perhaps the to-do list. They also are using a couple of other tools. You can always change the tools for your chapter using this link down here. They're using another tool called automatic check-ins, and they're also using a tool called Campfire. So before we go too far down the rabbit hole, let's just go ahead and look at docs and files. If you click into this tile, you can see it's pretty easy to navigate. You can click through all of these little folders and you'll see all of the different information that they have posted in all of their different chair positions. You can also see that they've stored some master chapter files here in the manual of chapter operations here for everyone to read. Also, they have a little guide to Basecamp that they put together, and that's here too for volunteers to quickly find. So that's pretty much it for the docs and files section. As I mentioned, you can also set up schedules. Here I can see that the Monterey chapter has set up some schedules for the deadlines for various, looks like YEA leadership programs. You also have automatic check-ins here, like you can set up Basecamp to automatically send a question out to everyone in the chapter. For example, have you entered PAOE points for this month? It'll send an email to everybody in this list, so it automates some of that chapter operations work. Another thing that is available in Basecamp is to-dos. You can see here's a list of possible chapter operations, things that need to get done. Every to-do can be scheduled or not, or assigned to a person or not. So now that you've seen a successful chapter's use of Basecamp, I want to show you more about what your Basecamp will probably look like the first time that you access it. Your chapter's Basecamp project will probably look similar to this. There's a couple of things that I just want to show you really quickly as just some tips and tricks. The first one is you can see that all of the participants in this particular Basecamp project all have an avatar of their headshot put here. This is really, really helpful when you're trying to quickly see, who posted something to a message board, who's responded to a question, who's assigned to a task, etc. I find that having the pictures is really helpful just to kind of help personalize that a bit. So you can change your avatar if you go to the upper right hand corner once you're logged into Basecamp, click on it, and you can adjust your avatar here. This is also where you can adjust your title, password, etc. When you're in Docs and Files and you want to upload something new, let's say to the Meetings folder here, all I'm going to do is I have a file here on my desktop. You can simply drag and drop it. When you decide to upload this document, you can add any notes like this is a test document. You can even format this text. But probably most importantly is this little radio button here, which just says when you post this, who do you want to notify? Right now it says don't notify anyone, which means if I post this, nobody will get a notification because of my posting. But I can also choose who I want to notify. So one easy way to do this is if I wanted Ken to see that I have completed this webinar recording, I can click select no one, make sure that Ken sees it, and maybe Jocelyn, she's our staff liaison. So I'll save those two changes, and those two people will receive an email that I have uploaded this document. But for now, I'm just going to put no one and post to the project, and here it is. You can also see that we can now start a conversation about this document. So if I wanted to make a comment, I can add this comment. But the same rules of notification apply here, which is who do I want to be notified when I make this comment? So maybe I didn't want to notify anybody when I uploaded the document, but now, I have an important comment. I disagree with line 2, etc. You can add that comment, add or remove the people you want to see the comment. And then when I add this comment, just Jocelyn will be notified. She's the only one that's subscribed to this right now. So this is an important tip for any time you upload something to Basecamp to make sure that you check who you're notifying when you upload it. So part of the point is that when you upload a document and you select somebody to notify that you've uploaded a document, now you don't need to send an email and saying, hey, I've uploaded this to Basecamp. There's no need. You've already notified them with the notification tool. On the other hand, if nobody needs to know, you can just post it and then it's there. Perhaps for the person that's going to come into the role after you, they have access to that. Or really anybody in the chapter will have access to it on your leadership team, just in case they were to ever need that file. Now, one of the most important questions I get all the time is when people first get into Basecamp, there's just an onslaught of emails. So how do you fix that? Let me show you. When you log into Basecamp, you can adjust your notifications by going to the top right and choosing what notifications that you want. So for right now, I can change my notification settings. And I can choose what notifications I want. So for example, you can only get notified when somebody mentions you specifically, or you can be notified about anything that is assigned to you or anytime somebody subscribes you to a message. Now you can see here I have also the methods of how I want to be notified. So for me, I want it to send me email notifications, and you can see Basecamp will bundle things together to try to reduce the number of emails. I also have pop-up notifications on within a right here. Number of unread items. I just have the little red dot, not the total number. And I also receive notifications via my iPhone, which I find to be actually the best way to get notifications about Basecamp. So I have all of these set up the way that I want it. So one thing that I would really caution against is this very tempting link here that says turn notifications off. You really don't want to turn off all of your notifications. If you turn them all off, then you need to make sure that you make the extra effort to log into Basecamp, let's say once a week or once every 2 weeks, to make sure that you see what's going on and you're tracking all of the activity in your Basecamp. So I really recommend just making sure you adjust your notification settings. And then the second part of that is just being mindful of who's subscribed to anything that you post on Basecamp, and making sure that other leaders in your chapter are mindful of that too. If everybody understands how that particular item works, then you shouldn't receive emails that don't really pertain to you. So if for whatever reason you were really interested in what was going on in your chapter's Basecamp, but you weren't getting email notifications about it, again, you can log in to your Basecamp project and scroll down just to see the activity. You can see that I've uploaded a document, Ken uploaded a new message, Jocelyn changed who had access to the project, etc. So you can see all of the timeline of the project activity here underneath your main tile tools. So that should be enough to get you started. Your Basecamp project is really yours to determine how you best want to use it. I or anybody on the communications committee would be happy to give you some examples of the best ways to use Basecamp and what works and what doesn't. But really, it's up to you to use, and it's a free tool that we're providing as a part of your membership dues. So we hope you enjoy it. If I haven't answered all of your questions, the good news is there's lots of resources you can look to. Basecamp has a lot of really helpful videos at basecamp.com/learn. There's also help guides that Basecamp puts out. We also put together an overview and best practices document, so you can go to ASHRAE.org/Basecamp guidance and you can find a lot of helpful information. There's also something called client side, which is essentially an email-only side of Basecamp. It's a separate group of people that you can choose to send specific files from your Basecamp to. That has really specific uses in ASHRAE. If you're interested, you can go to this help article here. Just to wrap up, if you have any other questions from this point, you can direct them to your region communications chair. That might also be your region webmaster or your region electronic communications chair. Different regions have different titles for this person, but look for the person that's handling your website. That's probably the best person to go to. If you have any other questions that they can't answer, you can direct questions to our staff liaison for the communications committee. That's Jocelyn Ratcliffe, and her email address is here, jratcliffe@ashrae.org. I hope you found this video to be helpful and informative. And again, if you have any questions, you can direct them to your regional chair or to Jocelyn, our staff liaison. Good luck. Have a great ASHRAE year.